Hello everyone, and welcome to another Dwarven Tavern review and first look. And I say that because I actually haven't read this book yet. So it's going to be a first look for me, and first impressions, and a summary review, if you want to get that particular about it. And some people have. They're like, why didn't you call it a first review or a first look? Why did you call it a review? Because, well, it was. So, for all of those of you who need those labels to exist, I'm sorry, I pick upon the. This is it's another book from Pathfinder, from Paizo, called The Adventurer's Guide. And it can be found at paizo.com/Pathfinder. And it goes for $39.99 at your better bookstores. Let's see what it is, shall we? Because I'm curious myself. I will read the first paragraph of the book. Only the bravest, or perhaps the most foolhardy adventurer seeks fame, glory, and wealth on her own. Most join parties, supporting each other with a diverse array of abilities and tactics. But even these groups often need to call upon the aid of experts. Presented in the pages of this book are 18 groups of such experts. Ooh. It didn't say that in a paragraph. I added that. That was a brilliant ad-lib on my part, I think. A mix of organizations with access to powerful abilities, magics, and secrets that can bolster the effectiveness of any adventurer. These organizations can be your party's guide to success. Okay, so this actually brings up a point that that I've often found fault in many gaming groups, is that a lot of people seem to think that because they're, I leave the tavern, I'm on my way to the Caves of Chaos, for those of you old schoolers, and yeah, it's a hot day here in Ohio. So, you leave the tavern, you're off to the Caves of Chaos to clear them out. And something happens. Your horse throws a shoe, for instance, and you're not even out of town yet. Well, I've had instances like that occur in which the people like, well, who's got blacksmithing skill, who's got horse husbandry or animal handling, and who's got this skill, who's got that skill, etc., etc. And they're like their horse is like standing next to the livery stable. So it's like, well, and they seem to forget that there is a huge living world around them, and oftentimes one needs to take advantage of the services of others. I mean, you can hire anyone to do anything, just like in the real world, right? It's just a matter of finding the right person to do the job. Well, I've often said, if somebody comes across a piece of writing or something that they can't decipher, they leave it, or if they can't decipher it, they move on and forget about it or whatever. Whereas, you can take a piece of parchment, make a rubbing of it if it's carved in stone or something, and then take it back to town and get a sage to read it before you progress into that dungeon, as opposed to feeling as if your dungeon is all encompassing. That's the only part of the world that exists, like in a video game, which, as you all know, I have a lot of trouble with people who liken D&D too much unto video games, and Pathfinder and RPGs. When I say D&D, I'm not specifically talking about D&D. Oftentimes, I'm speaking about role-playing games in general, because it's like Jello. It's the brand name, It has become the chilled gelatin dessert. When you don't say that when you want Jello, you say you want Jello. Jello's a brand name. So in this particular book, we have a number of houses of experts. Okay, and these experts can be made available for hire in your campaign or in the Pathfinder setting. And so we'll take a look at the table of contents and see what they are. The Al-Zabriti, don't know what they are. The Aldori Sword Lords, you have an idea what that. The Aspis Consortium, the the Aspis Consortium, the Bellflower Network, the Council of Thieves. Wonder what they do. They're politicians, right? The Cipher Mages. Oh, there's that. That's where you take that rubbing of the unknown runes, right? Take them to the Cipher Mages. The Eagle Knights. Caw. The Grey Maidens. It sounds like a. It sounds like a. Now if you've got a handsome young adventurer, you probably want to keep them away from those cougars, right? The Grey Maidens. The Hell Knights. Yikes. Houses of Perfection. That's where I live. The Lantern Bearers. Magambaya. Don't know Magambia. The Mammoth Lords, the Pathfinder Society. They're actually in the book. The Red Mantis, Rivathun, or Rivethun, or Rivet Hun. Silver Ravens, Storm Kindlers. And then the rules indices. So, these are, in this book, the groups of experts that your players may keep in mind. They may know about them, they may not. It just depends on how you want to introduce them into your campaign. They are to be made available for characters who are in need of expert advice. Like, should I get my wife a anniversary present of an ironing board, or shall I just dig my own grave? What do you think, expert? So let's take a look at the various groups, specifically the ones that didn't, that weren't self-explanatory, like the Sword Lords. They mop expertly. The Al-Zabriti, they're deep desert traditionalists. Their scope is Kadira National. Their alignment is neutral good. Their headquarters is the Batdinu Kadash. And this is an area in the inner sea region, and it has a nice map and involved. So yeah, that's pretty cool. They're your typical Arabian Night sort. Their values. This is pretty cool. It has a list of their values: ecological integrity, both protection of existing desert and prevention of desertification. Hospitality to travelers, isolationism, resistance to assimilation, Saranite faith, secrecy, and tradition. That sounds pretty cool. Their goals are to breed superior horses, those Arabian stallions. They're some of the best in the world. Yeah, 13th Warrior, he had one. Remember when they said, he brought a dog to a horse show or something like that? Because his Arabian stallion was like this. All the Viking horses were like freaking Clydesdales and stuff. Percheron. So the breed superior horses, eliminate evil outsiders, preserve traditional lifestyle, prevent corruption of the Saranite faith, protect business interests, shore up border with Taldor, which is one of the regions in there. They ally with genies, mainline Saranite Church, other Althameri Kaleshites, and I'm probably butchering the crap out of these names. They have a Padishah. Their ally is the Padishah Empire of Kalesh, and various imperial lords. Their enemies are cultists of Rabagug, demons, devils, thieves, horse thieves. Yeah, kill that demon, but that horse thief. The Clipoth Raiders in Taldor, and they have no rivals. So they are your, I won't say typical, but they kind of are your typical Arabian knight for hire who can be called upon for aid in the desert. And of course, you can play one as a character. It's got all the rules for the prestige classes and such. It would seem they sell sunblock. I don't know why that was funny. And it has a list of things that you can get from them and hire from them, like cloaks and spices and mithril horseshoes. Holy moly! And spells and such. So then you've got the Aldori Sword Lords, who are masters of the clash of blades. Big shot there. And of course it also has their values, goals, allies, enemies, and rivals. Swords for hire. So, and you would have to say, well, are you a good swordsman? And he whips out his little, badge wallet with the certification that he is indeed a sword lord. And you're like, hey, that's good enough for me, or not, depends on you. And the Aspis Consortium, which is a global profiteering syndicate. They are rivals with the Pathfinder Society. Ooh. Their values are the development of new revenue streams, elimination of competition, indirect political power, monopolies, and profit. So, and it looks like there's some dwarves in there, which makes sense. And each of these dudes, each of these groups, have their own peculiarities or their own things that are unique to them, things that are available, things you can get only from this guild. The Bellflower Network is they call themselves the Eradicators of Halfling Slavery, which is pretty cool. They're chaotic good. They are into the abolition of slavery. They're abolitionists. They abolish for a living. Their rivals are the Hell Knights. So apparently the Hell Knights are into slavery. But these halflings, and they're not all halflings. You can be a foaling, a holing, and be a part of them if you believe in their, their goals and values enough. And of course, the Council of Thieves is kind of self-explanatory, territory. I don't know. The Cipher Mages, inheritors of ancient arcane traditions. They live, as you might expect, in Riddleport. Yeah, riddle me this. And they're, into the understanding and decryption of all arcane secrets, and the consumption of magical knowledge or knowledge in general. Now, see, here's another thing. if your character happens upon something of great power, which is, par for the course, then you would probably be very careful, because even though this group is not, they're not evil, they're neutral. But even though this group is neutral, it is always possible that that group, you give them a thing, and then they palm it off, or change it out for a dud, and keep the item of great power. Because they're, all groups are in for their own best interest, and that could even be a really good story hook if you wished. That you take this unknown orb to, and I'm not talking about the orbs of specks of dust that are lit by close proximity contamination by a light source that's too close to the lens when photographing haunting events. No. I'm talking about a ball of power, and you don't know what it does, but it hums and it glows and it vibrates, and other than a really cool nightlight for the lonely, it could be something very powerful, but you just don't know how to unlock it or activate it or whatever needs to happen. You take it to one of these groups, and they're like, "Oh, this is the orb," and he recognizes it, or not. But the guy's like, "This idiot doesn't know what he's got, so I'm gonna do the old switcheroo," and and then the character has to spend the next time, trying to get his gizmo back, which can lead to all kinds of cool things. Then you got the Eagle Knights, which are the Vanguard of Liberty. So they're neutral good, and apparently they're also abolitionists. They abolish slavery in all forms. Apparently slavery is really big in the Inner Sea. It's a big thing, and in these times, even though it's a different universe, slavery was a big thing. Slavery still exists today in various parts of the world, even though they've tried to hide it and mask it. I'm pretty sure there's still slavery in South America and some of the deeper, darker parts, and probably Africa as well, and probably some parts of the Middle East there are slaves. So yeah, we're still trying to wipe that out. So you've got your various, each of these groups have their various prestige classes, which I'm not really sure. Actually, I am quite sure that prestige classes are a cool thing, but there are so many. Oh my God! And we here at the tavern, we've got games going on, so many different games going on. We've got cowboy, sci-fi, traveler. We've got a GURPS, which my next review is going to be on GURPS. We've got a GURPS thing going, campaign started. I'm still trying to get through the Rifts book to do the character thing that I was talking about, and then in 3.5 and in Pathfinder we've got like 24 different things going on, all in parallel, and then new books come out, and we're like, oh, we should totally roll up a Sanguine Angel. Like, yeah. So it's not a matter of all of these prestige classes not being a good thing. It's a matter of I have too much other stuff to do in the real world that keeps me away from doing this. So that's the real problem. There's not enough lottery winnings to free up my time. And I'm sure you all feel the same way. Unless you've already won the lottery and it's made your life hell, which I've heard Um, I'm curious as to what that feels like. Um, the Hell Knights are merciless enforcers of the law. Okay, you would expect them to be an evil group, but they're not. They are. It varies by order, and their alignment is typically lawful neutral. So nothing matters to them other than the law. They're law keepers. Doesn't matter. The enforcement of Hell Knight law, which is their own law. Order-specific rules. The Order of the Chain imprisons fugitives and criminals. The Order of the Gate seeks to prevent disorder through arcane means. The Order of the God Claw values religious obedience, etc., etc. So each of them each order has its own set of mandates, and their rivals are everywhere. Like, just for example, if slavery is legal, then you've got the Bellflower dudes and the Eagle Knights all trying to take out the slave lords, but that's totally against the law. So the Hell Knights come in and try to keep the law. So you've already got kind of the starts of a possibly cool little Game of Thrones type mesh of ideas and such. So ideologies clashing is always cool. And that's a thing that is often lacking in a lot of different campaigns is a deep and complex set of values that of different groups. There aren't enough clearly defined different orders except for orders of the individual gods themselves. Whereas in reality, as if you just look at the different Christian faiths, how many different orders of Christian faith, the Catholics, Protestants, you got Pentecostal, Baptist, etc., etc. And so, with the addition of this book, you can add yet another layer on the gaming onion of complexity. The one that I was curious about was the Houses of Perfection, and this is very cool. I like it a lot already. It's a trio of elite mystical monasteries inspired by the elements. So perfection is the way of the closed fist, I guess, or the open hand, or the pointy toe. And it's based on, as it says, the elements. The elements as expressions of nature's perfect forms. Improvement through competition, pursuit of perfection, even if one does not reach it, which, we can't. We cannot reach perfection. Their goals are to defend the island of Jalmaray, develop new methods of purifying and enhancing mind and body alike through the study of the four elements, overcome the weaknesses of mind and flesh, train the inner sea's finest martial artists. So, if any of you have ever read the Covenant series, the Chronicles of Thomas Covenant, and know of the Blood Guard, they would be these guys. So that in itself is freaking cool. It makes me want to play. Because I loved the Blood Guard, as many of you probably did who've read the books, because the Blood Guard are freaking cool. So and of course it's got all the standard trappings. It's got the prestige classes and archetypes or archetypes. Lantern bearers, a light against the coming darkness. Well, that makes sense. Looks like an elven group, which, okay. Their values are nature, beauty. Oh, no. I misread. Nurture beauty in those who seek redemption, oppose conspiracies and reveal destructive secrets, remain pure-hearted, and reveal and fight corruption. So, I was never a big fan of elves, as many of you probably already know. But this could actually be a redeeming thing if it's a, you know, if it's the truth, which you could probably have a little bit of. I'm going to stop saying 50 million times. To stop groups from becoming corrupt and being more self-serving, being a little. I said it again. And all groups are, I imagine, at least a little bit corrupt, just from people who want to gain power, because power corrupts, as you might imagine. Take a look at the world around you, and you can see. So then you've got the Magambia, which is inheritors of an ancient academy of arcane learning. Okay, their values are civility over barbarism, history as a guide for the future, knowledge over ignorance. Well, I like this group already, and it looks very African natured, as you might have guessed from the name. It's a very would that be sub-Saharan African? Anyway, so you've got jungle dwellers, who their goals are to acquire, protect, and disseminate knowledge. That's cool. I like that. Not just to have it, but to get it and share it. Foster peace between peoples and the Mwangi expanse and beyond. Oppose evil as it gains power in the Mwangi expanse. Recover and restore ancient magical relics. Very cool. It sounds like, and they're neutral good, as I would have probably guessed. So that's really cool. I really like that. And then they have a large number of archetypes. The Magambian Arcanist, the Enlightened Blood Rager, the Halcyon Druid, the Magambian Initiate, the Magic Warrior. Freaking cool. Yeah, for all your jungle adventure needs. Then those up north would call upon the aid of the Mammoth Lords. The beast-riding barbarian tribes, says it all. They are neutral, so, approach with care. Lest thou be stepped upon. And thou doesn't want to be stepped upon by a mammoth. I would almost guarantee it. And it has the Mammoth Rider prestige class and the various archetypes. It has like 2 archetypes. And a number of magic items and spells and such. Then the Pathfinder Society, which is very cool. It's adventuring scholars of historical lore, which, if you think about it, every time you have a Pathfinder adventure, you are creating historical lore in your universe. So that's that's kind of cool. I like that. The values are camaraderie, cooperation, proper documentation of important findings, self-promotion through publication, and world travel. Perfect. That's beautiful. They've actually, I think Pathfinders has just become self-aware, right? This game is sentient because it has characters that play Pathfinder in it. Pathfinder player characters playing Pathfinder player characters playing Pathception. So yeah, and then it's got your archetype like the Pathfinder Savant, the Student of War, the Lore Warden, the Name Keeper, and so forth and so on, and a number. Then the Red Mantis is the cult of the cult of deadly assassins. Every book, every guild list must have their list of assassins with your prestige classes and um, goofy looking mantis assassin. Like, oh, I wonder what he does for a living. His armor looks like a mantis, and he has swords that look like mantis claws, and he's eating the brain of a hummingbird. Which they do, unfortunately. The Crimson Chemist, the Mantis Zealot, and so forth are the various archetypes. Rivathun, I don't know. Be nice to have a pronunciation guide in some of these, you know. Animists harnessing personal struggles for spiritual growth. It sounds like a support group. It's headquartered in the Court of 1000. The values: acceptance of others for who they are, open negotiation founded on mutual respect, personal introspection and growth, and preservation of lore. Explore spiritual lore, foster balance between mortal needs and spiritual concerns, supply resources, information, and encouragement for personal growth. Okay. I guess that's the thing. Well, let's see what their enemies are. The Duergar. Duergar. How do you pronounce Duergar? Duergar. So they're all about peace and freedom and happiness and personal satisfaction and keeping your receipt and getting the money back. The Rivathun Emissary is their prestige class. And then they have Barbarian Archetypes, the Geminate Invoker, the Involutionist, which is a Spiritualist. I probably wouldn't play a Rivathun character because I'm not always that happy. I mean, I try to be a font of positive energy, but I also like to be realistic, you know. Silver Ravens, rebels against an oppressive regime. So they're the freedom fighters, and yet they have no rivals. So the Argent Dramaturge, the Argent Dramaturge. Okay. I guess so. It'd be like a bard type. Because the dramaturg, you know, is the person in the theater who fact checks the historical accuracy of various aspects of the play for continuity, and you know, it's like, this is ancient Greece. He didn't have a Harley. He did not have a shovel head. I'm sorry, or a pan head, or a shovel pan. Then I believe. Lastly are the Storm Kindlers, who are storm-seeking devotees of Gazreth, or Gazreh. They are a group that values the enlightenment, fearlessness, freedom, unity of consciousness, and the worship of Gazreh. They wish to merge with the consciousness of the god Gazra, Re, understand and know the Eye of Abednego, recover and reclaim lost lore from previous generations of Storm Kindlers. And they are, I guess, druids and the like, sorcerers, what have you. They have a Storm Kindler prestige class, and then they have a Storm Dreamer, a Tempest Druid as archetypes. And that is the book. It has indices for the rules, like class options, equipment, feats, and so forth. Because each class, or maybe not every class, but most of them have new feats and new spells and the like. So. Yeah, this is a nice seasoning for just about any campaign, I think. And so I'm going to give it. I'm going to give it five axes, because except for I might take off a half an axe for the stupid freaking mantis assassin. Assassins are supposed to blend, not look like a common rider or one of your, like a mantis Power Ranger. You're not supposed to be able to pick them out of the crowd. But yeah, I'm going to give it 5 anyway, because it's another great book from Pathfinder, from Paizo, and it goes for $39.99. It is Adventurer's Guide. I don't know why they called it that. It should have been the guilds, like, I don't know, something. But it's all about the guilds and the experts for your adventurers to call upon in a time of need. For what it is, it does it well, and that is the Adventure Guide from Paizo, and that's where we'll end this review. Coming up will be later on will be the GURPS books. I will dwell more into the realm of the Palladium books with and it is pronounced Palladium. The Rifts book, I'm going to continue slogging through that. It's been a difficult chore for some reason. I don't really know why. The rules are not necessarily that complex. There are a lot of rules, and there's a lot of reading to be done, but it's not like 8th grade stuff or anything. it's not really complicated. It's just a lot of it, I guess. That's what we got going on at the tavern. Preparing for, we're going out to Indianapolis here in a bit, which is promises to be fun, and see what's going on out there. And this has been a review of the Adventurer's Guide from Pathfinder. I'm sorry, I kind of dithered there. I strayed. It goes for $39.99. Give it 5 axes. Very good book. A must-have if you want complexity and richness of depth in your adventuring campaign. It is very good. And so yeah, on behalf of the entire cast and crew of the Dwarven Tavern, I am Dr. Jeff Goings. I apparently forgot how to spell my own name. I am Dr. Jeff Goings, and I wish for you to want for nothing but adventure. And at first I feared it, then I charged. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Let the games begin, let the dragons in.